afternoon to everyone. So after an inspiring talks, which we already heard, and a lot of energetic presentations on the diverse dimensions of mangroves ecosystem, now it's time to shift gears into more personal and reflective and forward-looking dialogue. So while I know that this session is soon after the lunch, but I assure you, the insights and the perspectives from our next speakers will keep you fully awake, so fully engaged and awake. So making sure that, and also I'm deeply honored to moderate this session, panel discussion, with this eminent group of intellectuals, which already have made significant contribution for the mangroves conservation and protection in coastal ecosystems in Asia and beyond. So with that, let me invite the esteemed panelists to the stage. First, I would like to invite Professor Kadiresaran Kandasamy, Honorary Professor, Center of Advanced Study in Marine Biology at Battaramulla University, India. Sir, please. Then I would like to invite Professor Bijoy Nandan, Department of Marine Biology, Microbiology and Biochemistry, Cochin University of Science and Technology, India. Then I would like to invite Professor Sevandi Jayakodi, Chair Professor, Department of Aquaculture and Fisheries, Faculty of Livestock Fisheries and Nutrition, Wayamba University of Sri Lanka. Next, the final panelist for the day, Dr. Manoj Prasanna, Program Assistant Biodiversity, Ministry of Environment. Good afternoon again. Before, I think I don't wanted to go back to any brief. Already we got enough learning and insights about the mangroves. So I know, Professor Jayakodi, you are in a bit of a hurry to leave for another event. So with that, I prefer starting the panel discussion with you. So in your presentation, Madam, you actually mentioned several points, especially about 3 cows and also mobilizing youth in, with a purpose. So that is kind of interesting. Actually, you are kind of a voice for Sri Lanka on mangrove conservation, so we all know that. And again, you mentioned about the concepts, OECMs. But with regard to that, we also know that you heavily worked on the environment sensitive area management. So you haven't mentioned anything today about that specifically. With that background, I know you have also have some success stories. So would you kindly elaborate a few more success stories? And also while explaining where we are in Sri Lanka in mangrove conservations, as per your knowledge, what are the key gaps you see? What can bring especially the communities, youth into the picture to have a better future in the mangrove conservation and restoration both? What are your views on that, madam?
Okay. Thank you, Dilini. I will start with the word ESA that you used for the international audience that is here. Since 2019, 2020 to be frank, Sri Lanka engaged in a very interesting scientific excursion of work looking at what are the environmentally sensitive areas of Sri Lanka. Now, this exercise was, I would say, multifaceted because we wanted to look at the sensitivity in terms of the fauna, flora, environmental services, and many other aspects. And it's an exercise that is still going on and it will continue to go. Through that, the very first assessment based on fauna has identified 153 environmentally sensitive areas in Sri Lanka, which are outside the current protected area network. Now, why didn't I mention about it at the moment? Because as we move forward globally, the terminologies, the way that we look into these sensitive areas change. So at the moment with the Kunming-Montreal Biodiversity Framework, one of the key concepts that have come in, as I mentioned earlier, PCA, protected and conserved areas. Now when you think about these protected and conserved areas, conservation and protection does not really require legal demarcation of a boundary and then the state taking control of it. We are talking about more opportunities for holistic conservation and protection where the management could also be taken by other entities for a purpose, where biodiversity in conservation and protection of the biodiversity is a key attribute amongst many. So you are talking about development landscapes where resource use can be permitted, but always bearing in mind that at the end of the day you are not compromising the biodiversity, and also your management tend to support the existing biodiversity or rather enhance it. These concepts are quite interesting, but they'll take time for us to absorb, because when British left us, they left us with a very rigid conservation system. You protect, you declare, you protect it. So we actually killed what we had, the traditional systems where people had the choice to conserve their village or their village reservoir or even their mangroves. So we have now a paradigm shift to which we have to adapt to go in there. So it's not just the science but also the socio-economic change and the changes that we require. So when it comes to that, let me now plug it to the mangroves, because in restoring mangroves in Sri Lanka, the approach that we really wanted to take was a multi-stakeholder approach. So the Environmental Ministry as the apex body, while it is providing the policy and the strategic frameworks, the idea was it should not just be the state that should be funding for these things. We should bring in the private sector so that the Wildlife Department and the Forest Department, with the Attorney General's approval, has now got other entities that have come to run science. They've brought in the private sector partners as CSR, as well as contributions to the community and also to the society. And then we have the universities and the other scientists getting together. And this entire group of stakeholders, once you are together, you create suddenly an opportunity to help each other. And I think that's the model that will work in future, because state alone cannot protect things. Private sector alone cannot do things. We need to get together and look for what I would call the win-win situations. And that's what Sri Lanka's protection and conservation of mangroves are heading towards. And in doing it, what is also very important is to understand that in Asia, our science, we have done a lot, like Professor Kadiresan and the eminent speakers here, they've done a lot in relation to research, yet there's a lot more to be done. From the fundamental ecological studies, we have to now look into what are the opportunities for wise use of mangroves, and also look into going beyond using just one or two species for restoration. What are the opportunities to use many more? And that's where the research comes in. So at the moment our model is such, young researchers, combining them with the international grants, national grants, creating postgraduate opportunities, providing the gaps that we have identified in the National Mangrove Action Plan as research topics, so that the research are not just research, they are management-oriented research. And at the very end of it, I wouldn't say at the very end of it, everything planned in order to make sure communities understand having mangroves around them is a wealth, not a problem. Because for many, having mangroves is, it's a mud-dominated, boggy, smelly, mosquito-driven ecosystem. But the moment you change that attitude and make them understand, no, it's your wealth and it's your natural capital, they are the people that will take the leadership. We have a long way to go, Dilini, but I think the momentum has started and the momentum should go forward. And I think in the coming years, probably you heard yesterday also, some new protected areas were declared, and these are all coming from the work that we did in order to identify what are the existing areas to be protected. And I also want to take this opportunity. I'd love to sit here a lot more and listen, but I have another meeting that I have to attend to. So I really want you to excuse me, and I want to wish everyone a very successful day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, madam, and thank you for bearing with us for a little bit and giving those insights. So thank you very much. I was just shifting because of the hurry for her to leave the premises. So in this panel discussion, we were actually planned it for 1 hour. So we now have 3 panelists with us. So we will have 3 rounds of questions followed by a 15 minutes question and answer session. So I kindly request each panelist to be concise and limit the answers for 4 minutes to allow for a dynamic and engaging discussion. So with that, next I would like to actually move to Professor Nandan. In your opening remarks, you briefed that ecological integrity related to mangroves areas and the social integrity. So that's something you were highlighting. And also you highlighted the dieback phenomena. So I would like to take those things into your question. So mangroves actually, they are hubs of ecological connectivity. So, and the buffering the coast and nurturing the coral reefs and supporting the species from seagrass beds and even from the deep oceans. So given your experience across the marine systems and lessons from tropical ecosystems, how can we better understand the complexity to protect and leverage these critical connections to improve the resilience and the ecosystems?
Okay. Thank you, Diniti. Yes, good afternoon to all of you. Definitely, it's a very valid question. Today in the morning, I have been when I was addressing this learned audience, I just highlighted 2-3 very important points, which I think my colleague who just left was also highlighting. You need science-based solutions because you need globally and not only regionally, globally also, you have the degradation. And because wetlands earlier was considered to be wastelands. We used to dump waste. We used to dump so many things. But now we know that they are the kidneys of the landscape. They are the kidneys of the landscape. They are really structure and function. They are important in function. They are important in structuring the coastal systems, and mangroves are one of the most important. From one of the slides, you have 17 million hectares as per the latest global reports, which Professor Jayagudi showed in the morning. We have almost 2.02 million hectares we have lost. You see, that's the state of affairs of mangroves. So regionally or globally. And this loss of mangroves is not happening all of a sudden. It is because of the continuous plundering and destroying, because you considered it as a wasteland. And nowadays, if you go everywhere, you're creating for the last 2 decades, creating an awareness. And where we need to inculcate the habit of awareness, inculcate the need for community engagement, we need to a larger participation of the driving the point of very important conservation measures. How you will do it? If you look at the very important mangroves for healthy and stable coastal coral ecosystems and seagrass, I think you vitally questioned that. If you look at that, they have very important 4 important functions. This is the function not only by coral or seagrass ecosystems. You are important. What are the major 4? Sediment and pollution filtration. You see, you are losing your coastal systems, you are losing your mangrove. There's no capability to absorb your pollutants. You have mercury, you have loadings of mercury, you have loadings of metals, you have all kinds of emerging pollutants which is coming. And your mangrove habitats are good. They can filter and they regulate the pollution load and the pollution index and reduce your risk assessment. So the risk assessment is reduced through the mangroves. The second important point is shore stabilization and erosion control is very, very important. This is something which is less thought of. You know, they are the bulwarks of our coastal, all kinds of maybe tsunamis and all kinds. So you need to tend, if you need Abyssinia in an area, you need to have Bulgaria in an area, you need to have reservoir in an area, you need to decide on it. See, these are all now professionally decided by science-based solutions, technology-driven. That's what I'm going to say. Today, mangrovers, I think I can take your word, I think. So mangrovers, you were using it. Yes, I call it. The mangrovers globally, regionally, I think one of the words our esteemed professor was quoting, I used to hear him 20 years back, 15 years back. He was quoting. I also take his cue and quote the mangrovers, whoever does work on this area. Let it be technologists, let it be social scientists, let it be pure scientists, let it be electronic engineers. They have a role in developing drone-based solutions. They have seeding, capacity building, everything. You see, so that's the conservation. So there only you can have a stabilization shore. You see, you used to have vetiver cultivation along these coastal wetlands. You know, now you have stronger, their bulwarks. Vetiver has now gone. Earlier we used to do a lot of vetiver in Vembanad, 1.5, 2 meters below the sea level. And you know, you see, you used to have coastal protection along the seas. But now, you know, many tsunamis and your cyclones have protected you. So many examples have come along the various whole of India. But what we really don't have, you don't have strong rules. You see, you have Water Act, you have Environmental Act, but where is the Mangrove Act seriously affected under the wetland rules? This very thing. See, you have wetland guidelines, so do you have specific foray into mangroves? Do mangroves seriously? Yes, these are things which I think this forum has to take and give. Then the very important thing of coastal protection I already mentioned, and the last is nutrient cycling. You see, the entire biogeochemical process in the coastal system, without the place of you remove the ecosystem services contributed by mangroves. You see how much millions of dollars or rupee you cannot replace the natural system with the mangroves, which is providing such a vibrant system where chemical pooling and transferring and the carbon segregation along the coastal system, especially the mangroves. See the beautiful roots. May there be nematophores, how much silt roots, all these, how much of energy and how much of separation of all these pollutants, and they transfer and finally give it to the coastal system. You have a productive system along the coast. And you see how much is the ecosystem. So these three very important ecosystems have an important role where even in seagrasses, where in coral systems, they nurture, and the mangroves have an integral role to play in these ecosystems. I think I've made my point, all right?
Thank you so much, Professor. So that actually highlights the ecological connections and the wide range of services provided by the mangroves. So moving forward to that, I would like to turn into Professor Kadiresaran. So it was a very energetic speech that you have given today. So you actually started saying, are mangroves sustainable? So that's what we have to exactly answer today. In your presentation also, you mentioned that the mangrove ecosystems, particularly those are over 500 meters, can function as an effective natural dike. And I know you have experiences from post-tsunami studies as well, and you also mentioned about the floods. So there are a lot of nature-based defenses given as a benefit from mangroves. So how should we prioritize mangrove species recovery and conservation to enhance the coastal resilience?
A sumptuous lunch, excellent lunch. I heavily ate. It is time for sleeping, not for listening. So even then, we have to discuss. We have to discuss something. And she was asking a very important question. If you have more width at least 500-meter width of mangroves, we can protect our coast efficiently against the natural disasters. Can we grow mangroves everywhere? Can we grow mangroves everywhere? No. It has specific conditions. That is most important. Another thing, in addition to that, I am telling you, of course, increasing the width cover will protect the coast. It's a common knowledge. But now I want to ask a very basic question to the audience. What are mangroves? Define mangroves. Define salt marshes. Define true mangrove. Is there any false mangrove? Mangrove associates. Can you define these terms? That is most important. So I am starting with the LKG questions. What are mangroves? What are salt marshes? What are mangrove associates? How can we distinguish these three? Understanding is very important in this respect. Any answer from the audience side? Can you distinguish these three systems? Salt marsh, mangroves, mangrove associates. I think I told you, the stage of sleeping. I could see the impact of the sumptuous food. I will tell you, mangroves, if you look at the size, mangroves are always taller than 0.5 meters. Always taller. Understand? If you take salt marsh, always less than 0.5 meter height. Okay? I think the habitat wise, both of them are more or less the same. When you say associates, associates are terrestrial plants. Somehow they are adapted to the mangrove habitat and growing along with the mangroves. Okay? So likewise, basic I am telling you now. Even the last IUCN meeting, we had a discussion like this. Okay? So that is not very important. Secondly, I will ask you a question. What is the area of mangrove forest in Sri Lanka? Can you give a figure? So as I told earlier, I was told 15,600 hectares. I think Manoj is here. He has to give the right figure. 19,700 hectares, which is correct. What is the present status? Anybody can tell? Manoj? Huh? Oh, 19,700. What I can say is, you can go for better mapping and the ground truthing, so that we can come to a conclusion how much exactly accurately present in this country. And secondly, you have to identify what are the potential area for developing mangroves, raising mangroves. So if you say 19,700 hectares, why don't you double this? Why don't you double? How we can double? We should identify the potential areas. Okay. Okay, this is very, very important. You have to take it into consideration. Then again, your mangrove is very unique than any other mangroves in the world. You have lagoon type of mangroves. Very unique mangroves, where the water body is shrinking, major issue. So how best we can ensure the water connectivity, how best we can increase the water area, we can think in that line of it. Manoj, can you say anything else regarding this? Okay. Then, another thing, very interesting observation I made, we have Naipa we have in Sundarbans. After Sundarban, no Naipa throughout east coast of India. Suddenly in Sri Lanka, Naipa is growing. Very interesting. Discontinuous distribution of the species. Naipa, commercially very valuable. Naipa, sugar, very valuable. I think some country they are making toddy also out of Naipa. I don't recommend toddy making, alcohol making, yes. So what you can do is the Naipa sugar. So Naipa sugar has got a very good market value, medicinal value. When you have so much of Naipa, why don't you go for the sugar, Naipa sugar and things like that, and nutraceutical values and things like that, you can go ahead. And one more thing, the dugong. In Tamil Nadu, South India, 5 species of dugong. See, India, we have only 5 species of dugong. World, it is 7 species. All the 5 species are present in the South India. Very interestingly, where these turtles are coming, mostly from Sri Lanka they are coming to South India, going to Odisha. Odisha is the largest nesting site of the olive ridley turtle. So we need more regional cooperation between Sri Lanka and India for the migratory species like turtles, duha, and whales and things like that. Thereby we can improve your tourism potential and values. Please go ahead.
Just a follow-up questions with that. That is about how we have to go through the process. So do you have any evidence related to the success of mangroves, the nature-based solutions versus the grey infrastructure? Are there any quantification evidence?
Yes. Not only in my place, Vietnam. The best example is Vietnam. In the Vietnam, what they have done is, they constructed a sea wall. In other place, constructed sea wall plus mangroves. They made a comparison. The sea wall without mangroves collapsed within 5 years. Whereas the mangroves plus sea dike, the dike was not at all affected. It is scientifically proved in Vietnam. It is proved in Vietnam. Okay. Now the concept is changed. Whether grey or green, now the hybrid is most efficient. If you have the engineer and biologist should marry. I am talking about this point and nothing else. So that hybrid is important. Green and grey hybrid is very, very important for successful coastal protection. These two should be combined.
Thank you. Is there anything for you to add, I think?
No, I was just subscribing to what Professor was telling, because basically you asked me something about the die-off also, I think so. This die-off is getting a very not at all noticeable because you're seeing large patches of mangroves just dying off or die-back phenomenon. This is something to be very much taken care, And I think the Sri Lankan mangroves also you should look at, because we face the same, I think Maldives face the same situation where Bruguera cylindrica, large die-offs, patches died off, and there was no way, because it was largely part of the livelihood. Big islands of Kela, big islands of, I think Dr. Sri Lakshmi also, Naikandru, and so many islands where it's like a patch of going, you lose all your very, very sustainable Bruguera cylindrica. 10 meters, 20 meters height, Bruguera cylindrica is just falling and dying off. So you should look at the very intricate aspects, and those are not only coastal protection, they provide all kinds of ecosystem services, I would say, because and they were they were very helpless, the Maldives, most of the islands, even the administration. This was the time when we intervened, and we found that it's largely, it had no serious, we searched into the different reasons. We looked whether it was a fungal infection, a bacterial infection, a kind of pest infection. All these were ruled out. So we had done an extensive studies across the different mangroves, and we found, and we identified the same kind of diebacks which is happening in India also. See, we go many times, the large mangroves, we just leave it. Oh, it's died off. And people start cultivating and putting some other acrostichum or some other species will grow. It's a tolerance. That salinity, the tolerance is also a very important factor. So basically, what we identified was because we had the triple La Nina, which stretched from 2021 and 22 period, all the 3 years, and this triple La Nina led to positive IOD. That positive IOD, Indian Ocean dipole changes in the oceanographic phenomenon. And this is a very difficult task, linking all this to the climate science. That's why I said, see, the climate science is looming large. You need to have interdisciplinary research, inter-calibrated, inter-institutional research, regional cooperations, because it's not easy to trace, because you're looking at the ground data. the ground truth data you're seeing, mangrove, all the species, the farmers, the fish farmers, all trying, you know, see, they're not, Bruguera, you should see the fruit. They make all kinds of food, you know, they make a big, I think, so many delicious products we can take and eat, you know, and they're not able to take it. So the ecosystem services which was rendered one way or other to the livelihood, to the local people, local community, that's just cannot be replaced. So how it is now, there's a bringing back these mangroves is very important. And you see, please, once it is lost, it's difficult to get back. There are so many other species which are going to have a replacement, you know, this is ecological succession. The succession is gathering up. And succession is difficult to, because your soil, your chemistry, the hydrology of the ecosystem is changing. Moreover, the land use pattern is also changing. The wetland character is changing. So this is not happening in Maldives, it's happening in Sri Lanka if you intricately observe. Similarly, if you go to many of the locations in India also, we have found this is a change what's happening. So that has something to be, we have to seriously look into, and then only we can find solutions and remedy. And what we gave was really received by the government, and that came out with a solution on, climate issues. And nature-based solutions are very wonderful. And how you take care, you can look into those aspects are also looked into in Maldives. See, let me also add one point, the dieback required a technology-driven initiative. We had drone service, we had satellite-based imageries, we had so many other technologies. It's an integration of engineers, integration of technologists, integration of ecologists, integration of hydrologists, or integration of microbiologists. So all these integration created the solution to the issue what came back.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for that insightful answer. Actually, you highlighted the importance of nature-based solutions, and also you ended up with mentioning about the governance. So it's correct time for Dr. Manoj to engage with the discussion. So if Dr. Manoj can elaborate a little bit on how mangrove conservation goals are going to be reflected within Sri Lanka's policies. We have mangrove policy, we have NDCs, we have NBSAP. So there are many more other policies also. If you can a little bit elaborate on this, it would be.
Good afternoon, and thank you giving opportunity to participate this occasion. And I think I already started from 20 years back. So before 20 years, that means around 2005, as the Minister of Environment, we get conservation activities whole as a wetland ecosystem. We have only wetland conservation activities. Then, as Professor Kathiresan and Professor Sewandi Jayakodi says, we identified the mangrove ecosystem as a very, very important ecosystem out of that whole wetland ecosystem. So then we had several discussions with the senior management, and we get approval to establish special area to conserve mangrove ecosystem in our country. So as a result of that, we start several debates on mangrove, how mangrove conservation, what are the true mangrove species for in our country, and how make a national strategy to mangrove conservation. With that, we establish a National Mangrove Expert Committee for mangrove conservation as well as sustainable use. So with that committee, we have to able to make a special national strategic action plan for the mangrove conservation rather than our other strategic action plans. So under that, we identified what we can do in 2010, what we can do in 2020, and up to 30. So with that, already we are achieving a lot of targets. As a ministry, we make a special policy for the mangrove conservation and sustainable use. Then we establish national mangrove guidelines for the restoration, because there are a lot of issues with restoration. Still we have that issues in the field. As Professor said, most of restoration activities use only rhizophora. Because of that we can easily use that propagation and establish in the field. As well as most of people or the research, even researchers use that with we said we can get a very instant result from using that rhizophora. Especially for the private sector, they want to do the planting and get photos. So rhizophora is very good for that. Always other species are neglected. So that's the base to establish that mangrove restoration guideline under our national expert committee. Professor Sewan chaired that committee, and we able to publish that around 2019. So now we are working with that, and we are establishing training programs to government officers and other private sector organizations to how do that restoration project according to that set guidelines. So that is, I think, one main activity we done with our national action plan. So we have to follow the mangrove conservation strategic plan, national environmental action plan, as you said, NBSAP, and then we touch the NDCs also. So for the NDCs, we have a separate division, Climate Change Secretariat. Under NDCs, there are two sectors, coastal and marine sector also identified mangrove conservation activities. They set targets for 1,000 hectares for around 5 years. Under the forestry sector also identified the mangrove restoration. So there are a lot of targets and a lot of guideline also we make under the Ministry of Environment to protect as well as scientifically restored mangroves in the country. So I think we didn't achieve 100%, but we are in very success level with that all action plans in conservation as well as sustainable use, then restoration also.
Thank you, Dr. Manoj, for highlighting that as the governance structures and the policies, what includes and where are we states right now. For me, before moving to the second round, I feel audience seems to be sleeping, sir. So I thought of getting one question from audience before moving to the second round. So is there any question that any of our panelists can be answer? Dr. Nagarajan, yeah?
From India. He's from reading station.
Okay, so is there any particular question for you to input or anything? Can we have a mic to Dr. Nagarajan?
Good afternoon. This is Nagarajan from Institute of Forest Genetics and Tree Breeding. Basically, it is a Ministry of Environment and Forestry, Government of India. So I've been looking for some help, particularly on the policy side. Like generally, a strong policy emerges again from a strong policy. So for instance, if we take the Kerala, the Wetland Act, as doctor said, it's pretty difficult for us to find out where these mangroves fit in. And currently, we have very huge targets being met at India, unimaginable targets, and fairly successful. Very good results are emerging. But though not, my question will be, where does the policy, the mangrove policy, emerge from? In Sri Lanka, do you have we have something called a national forest policy? Is it like? I mean, because I'll tell you where I am stuck. Because you would have known historically we are connected with the forest departments. The Forest College Coimbatore is the place where people used to get trained.
Yeah, actually, with the Ministry of Environment, we have two departments, forest conservation and the wildlife conservation.
Right.
In the mangrove conservation activities, they are the implementing agents of
right.
We are making only the policies and other managerial part, But the Forest Department and Wildlife Department are implementing these guidelines and everything under their purview.
So do you have a big team or something like that?
Yeah, in the Forest Department, in every district they have a divisional office, and every range they have range officer. Like that, we have network in around the country, so we can use them to conserve as well as restoration activities.
Yeah, in fact, that's where I really want to look forward, like surrogating the forest department as well as the, now there is a new player, corporates. So, yeah, I don't know, now there is a World Economic Forum came up with the Economic White Report, which was on April.
CRZ also is confusing.
Yeah.
It's very confusing for mangroves.
Yeah.
Where do we hold on? That's a good
That's
question.
right.
Because CRZ 3 also says where mangroves, we are confused. There was many litigations which happened because they removed, they filled the sand and all those for construction and development purpose. Then we don't know in CRZ 3, so it doesn't have anything specifically mentioned for mangroves.
True.
See, it's forest, wetlands. It's a general term. So where do you fit in actually? See, this is something which we have to seriously look into. See, actually, in such meetings, we have to come up with these very vital, and this will be an eye-opener for even Sri Lanka and India and many regional countries, that's very important. And so sir, you have asked the right question, because here,
no,
you can
actually,
also take a policy cue, and that can...
I truly inspire, because when I reviewed the ASEAN countries' policies, it's perfect. I mean, I'm inspiring a lot. I think I need to inspire from Sri Lanka as well. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, I think due to the time, sir, we can continue the discussions afterwards as well with the relevant government authorities. Are there any questions from the audience? Yeah, one more.
Actually, it's not a question, but follow up your Professor Nagarajan's comments. So actually, Sri Lanka is the first country developed a policy on mangroves, the first country in the world. So we published the policy on mangrove conservation in 2020. Right? So that's a very good output during the Corona time. Yeah. So 2020 we published, Parliament approved the first policy in the world in mangrove conservations. Yeah. that's I want to add for this one. Yeah, plus based on the policy, we developed action plan for up to 2026, I believe. Then the other one is guidelines for restorations. So 3 major publications we made especially for mangroves. And plus we established the first mangrove museum in the world. That is, I think you may go to the field trip on Pambala. That's the first mangrove museum in the world that we established. That is, I think, 10 years back, I believe. So those are the things we are forwarding. And Sri Lanka is one of the champions of Commonwealth Blue Charter. So we are heading for conservation. So Sri Lanka is a champion. And we also got the flagship award for the conservation. So these are some of the international treaties plus conservation approaches we are making efforts. And I think Forest Department declared almost 10,000 hectares for restoration. That is the area now they identifying the exact places. Now they are working on that. But initially we declared 10,000 hectares to be restored. That's the plan.
Thank you very much, sir, for adding that input. So, moving towards that, I actually have another question for Professor Kadiresaran. We know that restored mangroves are powerful carbon sinks. So restored mangroves are not only an ecological asset, so they are also emerging as economic assets in the blue carbon market. So however, like we've seen in globally that poorly designed blue carbon projects are there. So becoming greenwashed investments or siding the communities who depend on these ecosystems. So there are problems like that. So based on your experience, what are the non-negotiable principles which can be adopted in Sri Lanka to follow to ensure the blue carbon projects in future?
very unfortunately, guidelines for carbon trading in mangroves is missing. Not only in Sri Lanka, India also missing. I am telling the truth. But the one and only country, the first country demonstrated the carbon trading in mangroves is none other than Kenya. Of course, I was also consultant there. One women group in Kenya, Kenya, they are growing mangroves every year, protecting mangroves, calculating the carbon being stored. Every year they are getting money from the international, companies. So around 5,000 US dollars every year a small village is getting, only fisher women. And the money is spent for sanitation, drinking water, sanitary, drinking pure water, and education. They are constructing schools, benches. So the women folk, they are spending money on that. Excellent growth. The people, Manoj, you visit that place. How nicely they are using mangroves sustainably for the economic development and the community prosperity. So such the successful models, we should take it into consideration in Sri Lanka. So first bottleneck, we have to find out the guidelines for carbon trading, and the local people should be given the top autonomy and authority.
Thank you very much.
I'll just add a point to what Professor told. See, this carbon crediting, carbon transfer, carbon measurements, basically India has now come out with policy for industries. Just now, based on the international, we are signatory to the COP29 and so many other signatory. And there, the very recent meetings of the COP29 also we discussed. Were very, very but now India has just, I think I came out to the document where now they have started awarding the credits on carbon, if it is traded or if it's produced or how much it is for industries. Huge, that is Ministry of Environment, Forest, yes, has now come out with a draft paper on that. And I think soon mangroves and other, these are all ecosystems where validity cannot be quickly done very fast. But definitely, I will say one thing. In one of the panchayats in Kerala, local self-government in Malappuram, I think so, we have been fully started. Yeah? Huh? Why not? Yeah, why not? I will tell you with all strength that we have mapped the carbon credits, and that is going into the system, into the local self-government governance and mapping, and we have done it as the first time possibly in India itself, the Wayanad model, where we have developed that, and a guideline has come in Kerala in place. And definitely, I think Government of India will, about with this, how much of transfer, how much of crediting, all these will be definitely industries, and huge other establishments will come out now. Buildings and so many things will come. The footprint calculation, and that finally goes to the final calculation of the quantum of fund which is getting. That has to come. I think Government of India and the Ministry of Environment Forest is in the right track to produce. And definitely we look forward that mangroves and other ecosystems are also mapped.
Yes, that's why. I have another question connected to that. You talked about the footprint. That's why I want you to answer both. So in this decision-making frameworks, I was just thinking, what role does the valuation of ecosystems play with this one? So I think we better highlight about like how we avoid the diaper effects, that these short-term fixes that makes these vulnerabilities in the in restorations, like than the resolving.
Before that, I want to tell you, when you talk about blue carbon, how to determine the blue carbon? Above ground biomass, below ground biomass, soil carbon. There is no perfect methodology, standardized methodology, universal methodology is not available. We can say IPCC, but I tested IPCC, lot of mistakes in that. So, specific to mangroves, When I compared Abyssinia marina and Rhizopora micronata, different, lot of difference. My dear friends, one secret I will tell you. The methodology given is only for trees above 1.57 meters. DBH, diameter at the breast height of 1.37 meters. What about the tree below 1.37 meters? No answer. So therefore, now I have developed a methodology for determining blue carbon in the biomass as well as in the soil. Okay? For Abyssinia marina, for Rhizopora micronata, I was shocked to see there is a variation between species. Species specific approach is important. At least for the predominant species, we can develop methodology. Okay?
Thank you very much, sir. So just one last question for Dr. Manoj. So based on the key points raised today by these panelists and also including Professor Sevwandi, if you could like institutionalize one lessons into Sri Lanka National Policy Framework, what would be that? And also what are the plans and interventions planned from the Ministry of Environment in future in terms of mangrove conservation and also in restoration?
Yeah, as I told earlier, we've taken a lot of actions up to now to conservation of mangrove ecosystems as well as all other blue carbon ecosystem in the country. We started from the mangrove conservation, but it upgraded now up to other two ecosystems, seagrasses and soil marshes also. So I think today, as a whole, I also get a lot of experience, a lot of new things. Always we associate that Professor Kadireshan and the team, we have very good expert team, Professor Madhiveshan, and chaired by that Professor Sevwandi and our Professor Rajini from Jaffna. We have very good expert team. So always we discuss how we get new approach to conserve the mangroves. So, but we can't do it immediate because we can't policy upgraded by date over one by one. So it takes some time. So after few years back, we can update our mangrove policy. We can prepare new mangrove conservation action plan for new era. That means 2025 to 35 or 30 like that. So in that time, we can incorporate all the experiences which we get from this seminar or the other seminars which we take part and field experience and our discussions. So we can incorporate time to improve that conservation activities in the country.
Thank you very much. So I think we are a little bit behind of the schedule of today's program. If I just take one more question from the audience, so we can give one chance if there is any burden questions for any of you. Yeah, there is one. Can you please give her a mic?
So me and my friend here was just talking. So we are talking about sustainability in mangroves, and we are mostly concerning about the conservation and restoration. But I was just thinking, so in Sri Lanka, as Professor mentioned, we have a really nice juice from Soneraceae fruit. But the thing is, I've never seen it in a supermarket, or I've never seen it in, in a commercialized as a commercialized product. But what if we commercialized it and promoted it as a fruit or a juice that is really high nutritionous? And what if we promote people to grow more Soneraceae trees so we can get more fruits to do have an economically sustainable way to have people to have some livelihood? Are there any restriction for that? Like, is there a restriction for the people to grow, the mangroves for economic purpose?
Actually, there's no any legal barrier for that. But the issue is, it is difficult to germinate that Soneraceae seeds. That's one main issue. Now, other thing is the demand. So still we have little supply as well as little demand. So we have to popularize and present to make more demand for that drink. So normally in the coastal way, in few places we can test it, and some one NGO started to bottle that and market it, but I'm not sure the present situation is that is the place of around now this place under the Jawaharlal University, I think. So I think in future we will have chance to enjoy that Sonratia in supermarkets. But the thing is, it is difficult to germinate. That seeds very difficult to germinate.
You can use it, you know. That's why I told you when in Maldives, Bruguera cylindrica, the fruits are just fried and eaten. It's given, you get it in the market. You get it. Even Sonratia, you can get. See, it depends on the palate. If you like it, see, when I take it and eat it, I may not like it the first. But the local people, it's a very, very sought after cuisine. They prepare a lot of cuisines out of the Bruguera cylindrica fruit, the propagules. So taste. See, it's what you make it. See, if you have if the forest department or the state wetland authority is prepared, they give you take a farm, you can do a coastal mangrove cultivation, take Sonratia fruits, and if people like the taste and the palate, see the people, it depends on. You should look into what are the savories, what are the products, what are the delicacies you will be able to develop from it. That's something which even is a science. See, that's also a science where people can look into that. So that kind of attitude is not there here. See, once, mangroves, it's for a selected community. If you go to Maldives, you go to the islands, see, it's part of the food, maybe the lunch or dinner, and very high-profile dinners. This is one of the very important, am I right? Yes, very much. The fries of the propagule fries, the fruit are fried and so packed and given to you. You can take it home. It's stable for days. See, so Sonratia is also same. You can do it.
Manoj was telling the seed germination is posing a difficulty, and there is no problem. There is a methodology. If you soak the Sonratia fruit for 12 hours and then dry 12 hours, something like that, if you do it, what will the fruit will break, and the seeds will be released off, and the germination is very good. So that way these technologies can be used. I will give the technique for improving the seed germination. Secondly, Kerala drinks, very famous Kerala drinks from Sonratia fruit is very famous. In India, we are making pickles out of Sonratia. Pickles, very tasty pickle. So you can also future market, so you can have Sonratia pickles. So we can develop at the same time. The Sonratia should be cultivated. You cultivate and use it. That's sustainable utilization. The wise use of the species. At the same time, people are cultivating the species. They are not cutting the trees. They are plugging only the fruits. Okay? At least 10 to 20% they can make use of it. The remaining, they can go for cultivation. Sustainable way, how best it can be done. You just work out a model. Business model you work out. Many people here in Sri Lanka, they have the farms, mangroves of their own in the garden. Ask them to develop this. Also Naipa. Naipa is excellent commercial mangrove plant.
Thank you very much. So I think it's wealth of knowledge. Within 1 hour, we packed lots of knowledge. So ladies and gentlemen, so we all have been very fortunate to listen to this wealth of knowledge and for this expertise today. So before we close, I'd like to invite each of our esteemed panelists to offer final takeaway. Just take 30 seconds, sir. So one action that can accelerate mangrove conservation in Sri Lanka over the next 5 years.
Man grew. So man without guru and the guru without man is of no use. See, community participation, involvement of local community, okay? I think that is the best sustainable solution for mangrove conservation and restoration. This is my submission.
Okay, I'll end up with 4 important points. The first point is I just joined with Professor to strengthen community engagement. Second important point is enhance policy and governance. It's very, very important. That's something which is going to sustain your community management and community strengthening. The third important, invest in research and monitoring. It's very, very important. research and monitoring. The fourth, I'm not going to details, which we discussed throughout this. And the fourth important point is incentivize restoration through blue carbon initiatives. These are the four important takeaways, which I think we'll just sum up, I think, from the whole discussion. That would be. Thank you.
Okay, just one thing. As the Minister of Environment, I just request to give your support to conserve our mangrove ecosystem and disseminate that message to the community. Then we can get community support also. Thank you.
Thank you very much for all four of our experts for your insightful contributions, and thank you very much for the audience for your thoughtful engagements. So I think let's give a big round of applause to our eminent speakers. Thank you very much, sir. Together through science, policy, technology and community partnerships, we can move towards a future where mangroves thrive for people, biodiversity and the planet. Thank you very much.
Thank you again for your insightful and thoughtful inputs for today's session. And now we are going to move to our panel sessions. And we have arranged 4 different locations having different topics. And here we are going to have 3 sessions, A, C and D. And A is actually, the theme is on mangrove and coral reef biodiversity, maritime ecosystem services, and which is going to taken place here. And the B, we will guide you to the B, and the theme is technological innovations and strategies for mangrove conservation and management. And then the session C is taken place in my left-hand side, which is on the sustainable livelihoods and community engagement on mangroves. And then the session D, which is going to take place on my right-hand side, which is theme under carbon sequestration and blue carbon for economic sustainability. And we are going to start our parallel sessions, and I invite you all to join to the sessions, and also please help the organizing community to arrange these tables and start with the sessions. Thank you.